Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we got some crazy news going wild on social media, man. They are saying that none other than Playboi Carti and Future are looking at a RICO case. Now, there's a gang that's in Atlanta, and it's called Homixide, right? Now, this gang Homixide has been in several news stories. There's been members who have lost their lives. I've done several videos about that or whatnot, man. But, man, it's being tied with both Future and Playboi Carti. And they're both being listed by a very good source in the hip-hop community and in the Atlanta journalism community who monitors these RICO cases. I mean, he's been breaking news on a lot of things on a lot of different platforms, and I'm going to go ahead and bring to you what he said. Now, the gist of it is that Playboi Carti specifically is being looked at as an affiliate in a RICO indictment, man. This is crazy. Like, at this point, ain't gonna be no rappers left in the game. You know what I mean? And also, Future, one of the biggest artists, period, on this planet right now, is also being potentially named in this indictment, man. Now, before we break down these tweets and talk about what's going on, man, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And, man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about what's going on down in Atlanta, man. Now, this is crazy. So there's a journalist by the name of George Cheedy. Now, he works for something called the Atlanta Objective. I'm not sure if that's his own news organization or a local newspaper there, but I believe he used to work for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution as well, the most well-known newspaper in the city, you know, as far as Atlanta is concerned. You know, you have your really big news outlets, and he's one of those guys who contributes to a lot of them in the city. And he's kept up with all of the RICO cases and has been a go-between for hip-hop journalists and everybody combined, man, because he's gone to Vlad's platform, other platforms to talk about the things that he's able to get as firsthand knowledge. Because there's a process in Atlanta where a lot of the documents that you want to get, where in other cities it's public information and you could access it through a website. In Atlanta, there's still a situation where if you have to get certain documents like RICO indictments and things that haven't already been put out there by different news agencies, you have to go in person there. And he goes and he talks to the police there, and he talks to the local law enforcement agencies that work on these RICO cases as well, man. So, you know, if there's a combined operation and there's more than one agency, like it might be the sheriff's office, there might be the local PD, and then it also might be the GBI or whatnot, right? And he gets all of that information, and he usually talks about it on social media or either on somebody's platform, right? And he also writes stories about it, right? And he went to social media recently to talk about Homixide. Now, he also mentioned Future and Playboi Carti. So let's talk about it, man. So in this first tweet right here, he says this. He says, the DA's office confirmed to me on Friday that Homixide is one of several street gangs on a road to a racketeering charge. I'll be writing about that soon. Now, as I previously mentioned, dude is a journalist, so he's a real deal journalist, so he has some certain privileges being news, right? And it looks like all the information about Homixide being looked into for a racketeering charge, he's gonna put that out in a story that he's gonna do, man. So everybody be standing by for that, because this ought to be interesting, because we'll get an idea of the case that they're building against him. Now, he ends it by saying, but the state of the jail is at least as important. Now, in this statement, a lot of people are talking about the fact that there are a lot of people in jail right now because of these RICO cases. And when they do these RICO indictments, it's several people. You had YFN, I think it was like 18 people, right? Then you had YSL, it was over 20 people. So that could be causing an issue between warring factions in the streets being locked up together currently in the Fulton County Jail. And the DA there has an issue with gangs. She's out to get gangs and make sure that she gets them off the street. She said that's her number one mission because she believes that that'll drive the crime down. And she said that on many occasions. Now, George Cheedy, he continued in his next tweet and said this. He said, Homixide is connected to Playboi Carti and nominally to Future, a big name. They had an ongoing rivalry with henchmen, that is two blood sets shooting at one another. There's a trail of dead and jailed rappers all through this beef. So letting it be known that Homixide had an ongoing rivalry with another group called Henchmen. Now, they happen to be two blood sets, and there's been blood between them with shootings and trail of dead people and people who've already been locked up. Now, when there's these gang war type situations going on, you've seen that they've locked up both sides, that they claim to be gangs or claim to be these RICO organizations, man. And he's just given a little bit of probably what he's going to write about later in this situation, because it looks like, man, when you start throwing in names like Playboi Carti and Future, man, this could be huge, man. This could be a humongous case. Now, hopefully, Future doesn't get locked up and Playboi Carti don't get locked up, because let's be real, Gunna and Young Thug are really at the top of rap, right? But when you start talking Future is like light years ahead of a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Just because of his longevity in the game. He's just one of those staples in hip hop right now, and he recently dropped an album that's doing well, right? Playboi Carti is one of the leaders of the new school. One of those cats who is out here pushing and changing the culture, messing with the sound, changing up the different sounds. They running that vamp. And when you see a lot of the people who are accused of being in Homixide, and if you look on their pages, their Instagram, they got a lot of vamp stuff, vamp life, vamp everything, you know what I mean? So you would closely relate them with Playboi Carti, or say at least there might be some type of influence there. Now, man, this is crazy. Like Playboi Carti getting up out of here. Now, I've heard this rumor before, and I almost laughed at it. But when you have a source like George Cheedy coming out and talking about this with his connections, I mean, there's no reason why he would be bluffing. There's no reason why he would be putting those names out there unless he knew some inside information that was going to come to light. Now, it acted as a warning too, because if you look at the very first tweet, he says that they're actually being looked at or looked into for racketeering charges, up the road. So maybe they're building the case on him now, because remember, in the YSL case, there were people who got arrested earlier last year and later last year that were closely related to YSL, that if we would have been monitoring that, or if they knew in advance, it was kind of a clue of things to come. Because one of the guys, his wife, or his girlfriend, they said, was actually working for the Atlanta Police Department and already saw that these indictments were coming, you know what I mean? And regretfully, or she's alleged to have helped him out and told him about it, and that ended up getting her in a bind and in some trouble too. Now, that same guy is allegedly one of the witnesses against YSL, so it has a crazy turn to it, you know what I mean? So it's possible that he's just letting it out there before we see the after effects, because he also said in the second tweet that, people have already been jailed, and he thinks this might cause a jail issue. So, man, be tuned in for this, because this is crazy, man. Ain't gonna be nobody left in the rap game, at least not as far as Atlanta is concerned, if all these rumors about RICO's proved to be true. So these guys need to really start watching what they doing, man. If Playboi Carti was smart, he would already get his ducks in a row, because I'm pretty sure Young Thug and them wish they had a heads up and knew what was coming down the line, man. But with that, man, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section about this breaking news, man. Do y'all think that this might just be all smoke, or do you think, based on the source, that Playboi Carti, maybe even Future, might actually be involved in a RICO case coming up here pretty soon? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell, so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.